Good morning and welcome to this Friday morning's edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. Bringing you the news, I'm Hashni Pathirana.
And I'm Nithmini De Silva.
And before we start off, wishing all the women a happy Women's Day.
News First headline.
International Women's Day celebrated world over. Sri Lankan victims, killer identified in Ottawa mass stabbing. In news overseas, Sweden formally joins NATO military alliance. And in cricket, Afghanistan batter Nur Ali Zadran retires from international cricket.
Now taking a look at your news in detail. Today marks International Women's Day, a celebration of women's achievements regardless of race, religion, language, culture, economy or politics. The United Nations has designated the year 2024's theme as Invest in Women. Accelerate progress with a focus on addressing economic disempowerment, while the campaign theme for this year is Inspire Inclusion. It highlights the significance of diversity and empowerment across all sectors of society.
Now on to some tragic news that shocked the world. The Ottawa Police Service Homicide Unit has charged a man in relation to the homicide on Berrigan Drive that left 6 people deceased and 1 person injured. A 19-year-old has been charged with 6 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of attempted murder. He is a Sri Lankan national who is believed to be in Canada as a student. Police have identified the victims of last night's homicide as Darshini Dilantika Ekanayaka, who is 35 years old. Her husband was also injured and is in hospital in stable condition. Tragically, the couple's children are also deceased. They are Inuka Wickramasinghe, who is 7 years old, Ashwini Wickramasinghe, who was 4 years old, Rinyana Wickramasinghe, who was 2 years old, and Kelly Wickramasinghe, who was only 2 months old. A 6th man, Gamini Amarakon, who was 40 years old, was also found deceased. He recently arrived in Canada. This is Chief Eric Stubbs of the Ottawa Police Service providing details.
At about 10:52 yesterday evening, the Ottawa Police Service received 2 911 calls from the Berrigan Drive area, reporting a suspicious incident where a male was yelling and asking people to call 911. Our team was immediately dispatched, and the first officer arrived on scene minutes later. As multiple units began to arrive, officers identified a suspect who was quickly arrested without incident. Paramedics were also called and were arriving. Officers entered the home to check on the safety of those inside, and that is where they began to discover the 6 victims, the youngest of which is less than 3 months old. The family are newcomers to Canada and are originally from Sri Lanka. We have been working to advise the families of the deceased, many of whom are overseas. We know there are a lot of questions about why this tragedy occurred. This is the focus of our homicide unit as they diligently investigate this tragic crime. I want to emphasize, this was a senseless act of violence perpetrated on purely innocent people.
The investigation has found that an edged weapon was used to cause the deaths and injuries.
International news.
Taking a look at news overseas, Sweden has officially become the 32nd member of NATO after it completed its accession process in Washington. The handover of documents took place at a ceremony 2 years after Sweden applied to join the military alliance following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Swedish Prime Minister said that unity and solidarity would be Sweden's guiding lights.
Sports news.
Now on to sports news. Veteran Afghanistan batter Nur Ali Zadran has announced his retirement from international cricket. He ends his career after 2 tests, 51 ODIs and 23 T20s, having first represented his country back in 2009. Nur Ali's final appearance for Afghanistan was the one-off test against Ireland earlier this month, which ended in a defeat for his team. And with that, we wrap up this edition of Yes 101's Visual Radio. For the News First team, I'm Nithmini De Silva.
And for the News First team, I'm Hashni Pathirana.
Thank you.